Welcome back. Well, it's time to talk a little national sports, and for that, we got some new talent in the house.
That's right. We're introducing our newest sports reporter, Miss Haley Mylon. She's standing by with someone who knows the Nats just as well as she does. Haley?
That's right, guys. Joining us now is Washington Nationals beat reporter Jorge Castillo of the Washington Post to talk a little baseball. It's been a tremendous season for the Nats, who sit atop the NL East and are 4.5 games ahead of the Marlins. And it's been a particularly strong year for Steven Strasburg, who's 13-1, and until this week, he was undefeated. So, Jorge, my question for you, what has the difference maker been this year for Strauss?
I think it's really more just about when he faces any adversity, he gets through it, as opposed to in the past. When he faced adversity, he kind of folds. And I feel like even though he lost finally for the first time the other day, it's a good example of him kind of being resilient when in the past he wasn't. And he admitted as much after the game when he allowed those 2 home runs to Justin Turner early. He stayed in the game, struck out 10 guys. He was really good after the third inning. And it's an example of him kind of maturing and being a more resilient pitcher and someone who's willing to fight through, bad innings.
Sticking with pitching, the Nationals took a pretty good gamble back in 2012, selecting Lucas Giolito as their first-round draft pick. He's already been up in the bigs for just a cup of coffee this season, and manager Dusty Baker announced he'll get the start tomorrow. Where do the Nationals want to see the 22-year-old improve?
Well, he's the top prospect in baseball, arguably. Definitely the top pitching prospect in baseball. So once you get to that, stratosphere, it's ace-type potential, Cy Young winning potential, all-star potential. So the stuff's there. He does 94, 96 consistently. He can throw harder if he wants to. Good curveball, change. He has the whole repertoire. But he does need to command his pitches a little better.
And it's that time of the year that teams are shopping around before the trade deadline and loading up for the playoffs. The Nats roster, while solid, has a few needs that should be addressed, both in the outfield and in the bullpen. And one of the biggest names floating around for the Nationals is Aroldis Chapman.
I think the biggest need is something that Chapman would fill, is the back end of the bullpen. Their bullpen is second in baseball right now in ERA. It's been very good, great season. But when it comes to the playoffs, you need people who are going to, at the end of games, to miss some bats. And Chapman throws the ball over 100 miles an hour consistently.
100 miles an hour. Jorge, thank you so much for joining us. Chapman, in his outing last week, threw 2 pitches that clocked in at 105 miles an hour. Spencer and Trey, I know you guys are impressed by that heat.
I wouldn't even think about hitting
I'm sitting
off
here
that
thinking
guy.
about, first of all, do you know how much that would hurt to
Yeah.
get hit by one of those? If I ever got one, that would be the last day I
Yeah.
ever played baseball,
Yeah.
like ever. But that would be a huge pickup for
Yeah.
them. The Nats, they're still sitting in first place for a reason. They have been solid all year long. I'm really impressed with Giolito, as we were just saying a second ago. We actually got to see him last season when he was playing down here against the Shorebirds. Looks solid. He is definitely one of the prized possessions here in that farm system. If he can give them something kind of in that front rotation, they're going to be pretty solid here down the stretch.
I want the Nats to try to trade for Chapman. Obviously, he's available because the Yankees have been stinking it up this
As much as, O's fans hate to hear that.
Yeah, the Yankees have been stinking it up this year, and that's why Chapman's available. But I just see the Nationals. I don't want them to give up Giolito. Whatever else they have to give up in that farm system, though, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? With a guy like Dusty Baker in the clubhouse, I think there's no reason they shouldn't make it a lot further than what they did last year, and that was just a pretty ridiculous last year. All right, so
we'll see.
As a Nats fan, I don't want to see that happen again.
Well, Dusty's done a great job with them, but it's time for another quick commercial break. Coming up next, it is our top plays of the week. You're not going to want to miss this sticker right here.
We are the Marnell Warriors baseball team, and you're watching the Marnell Sports Insider.